Hi friends, it's Megan with My Island MO, and we are talking about carpal tunnel symptoms and syndromes today and what you can do about it. So I'm going to give you the top 3 special tests to assess for signs consistent with carpal tunnel. And then I'm also going to give you 3 things you can do about it today to help relieve some of your symptoms. So symptoms of carpal tunnel are going to be numbness, tingling, zap sometimes down the fingers, and especially the median nerve, sometimes going into this whole area here. So if you're having some pain, tingliness, numbing, these kinds of things in this area, this video might be just for you. So first special test we're going to assess for carpal tunnel symptoms is going to be the Phalen's test. So this is just bringing your wrist to the back of each other, and you're going to have your wrist in about 90-degree range of motion. I'm getting a little spasm just doing that right now for some reason. So if you're getting a reproduction of pain, numbness, tingling, zaps down the wrist, this might be consistent with carpal tunnel symptoms. So try not to identify as things we find. Just know that they're clues, and if we find something, we have lots of tools to get relief from it. We just want to know what we're dealing with. So if you're positive, zaps down the hands or the wrists, or pain, numbness, tingling, that's a positive sign. And so I recommend booking in with your favorite osteo or massage therapist. I have openings next week at myislandmo.com. And definitely get some professional advice, because everybody's health is individual. No one's story is the same, and different things are going to work for different people depending what they've tried, what they're doing. Of course, medications are going to impact the treatment plan as well. So do consider all of that. Next test, we're going to assess tethered median nerve stress test. And so we're going to hold the wrist into a bit of supination and extension, and you're going to bend that index finger all the way into hyperextension, and you're going to hold this for a good 60 seconds. And again, if those neurological symptoms are being reproduced, that is a good sign that it's consistent with carpal tunnel syndrome. Final special test here to confirm or differentiate is going to be Tunnell's testing. And so years ago, when I had symptoms consistent with carpal tunnel syndrome, this would have shot me out of my chair. Just like tapping lightly on the wrist will shoot some significant zaps down the fingers for some people, especially in a flared up stage. There's different conditions that can contribute to this, pregnancy being one, diabetes being another, Cole's fracture. So a fracture of the wrist down the road can actually result in carpal tunnel syndrome. So really important to know. Things you want to rule out, of course, there's always lots of conditions that have similar symptoms. So you want to rule out thoracic outlet syndrome. You want to rule out cubital tunnel syndrome, a ganglion cyst, ulnar nerve or trigger point, or diabetic neuropathy. So those will be other videos I'll post. For now, the 3 special tests for confirming carpal tunnel syndrome is going to be your Phalen's test, is going to be your medial, what did that guy call itself? Tethered median nerve stress test, and so supination, extension, and then you're also checking that Tunnell's sign where you're tapping on the wrist. So if any of those reproduce your signs, please do book online at myislandmo.com for an individualized treatment plan for you. Okay, now to what to do about it. So let's just say that those showed up positive. Do book in with a professional, but also try to relieve some of these symptoms. Start with stretching your pec. So there's lots of great ways to stretch the chest. You might know the doorway stretch, where you have your palms and your elbows on the doorway, and you're really just trying to leave your arms there so your body steps through the door. You're literally going to step away from your arms and leave your arms there, so that you're kind of doing a little bit of this. And what that's going to do is actually open up your pectoralis major and minor region, just trying to open up this muscle area because nerves hate compression. So compression of the nerves is that neuropathy, is that pain, tingling, zaps. That's your body's warning sign. So if we just shut that off with some medications or some other things, there goes our warning. So we want to know why things are happening so that we can do something about it. So if your range of motion is poor in the pectoralis, that is a great sign to do that stretch. So if you don't know what that means, again, book in with me and I can help you assess your own ranges of motion to prioritize what you need in your own body. That's number one. Number two is to actually stretch the wrist flexors. And so there's palmaris longus, there's all sorts of these flexor digitorums, all of this in here. And so most of us actually have these in a shortened position because we're typing, we're phoning, we're doing all sorts of stuff like that. So our wrists are going to be hypertonic in this area. And so if you checked out my video on Dupuytren's contracture, this is very similar health maintenance. So you'll probably be able to prevent numerous different conditions of the wrist if you do include this stretch in your routine. So this is a table underneath me here. You're going to flatten your palms as best you can, spread your fingers out as best you can, but avoid a straight elbow. What you're going to try to do is bend that elbow, and what you might notice is your palm actually doesn't go flat. And so you're targeting your flexors by not straightening your elbow. If you straighten your elbow, you're actually getting more of the bicep, which is just fine. Go ahead and do that. But also target these wrist flexors. These wrist flexors. So about 60 to 90 seconds of holding that stretch, doing both at the same time, highly recommended. Some of these stretches can reproduce some of your symptoms. Even for some people, just having their arms in this position, it's being pinched off in multiple places. So if you only have a short time that you can do this comfortably, let that be where you're at, and then try to increase that by 30 seconds if you can, a couple times a week at least. Final way to help with your wrist. So it's going to be up into the neck. The most proximal area where this nerve starts is up at the C5 to T1 region. So that's kind of just back here in the back of the neck. So many ways to stretch the neck, but one could just be tucking the chin and rolling side to side and just including the small little bit of movement into your routine. This is just going to open up multiple ways. Not full circles, just going shoulder to shoulder. A really good specific test or stretch is to actually lock the hand down. So sit on your hand and bring your opposite ear to the opposite shoulder. And you're gonna get a nice long stretch into the trapezius, levators, scalenes, all sorts of these muscles over here. SCM, your beauty muscle. So that guy in there. So, ear to shoulder, nose to shoulder, 30 to 60 seconds each side, and then of course repeating on the other shoulder. If you have a desk job, if you have a repetitive strain kind of job, groceries, even anything to do with the computer, do these stretches proactively, preventatively. Even if you don't have any of these symptoms, you are going to be improving the ranges of motion, which relieves that impingement of the nerves, because nerves do not like pressure. So anytime you have any hypertonicity, any added restrictions, that nerve has to function through all that fascial adhesion. So be preventative, try not to deal with crisis work, and check out myislandmo.com to book your next appointment.